Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is David Clayson. Today I'm talking about funerals. This is probably my fifth or sixth try or take of this. So I think I'm going to change direction on what I was trying to do there, and I'm just simply going to share an experience I had with funerals. I don't like doing funerals. And this is one of the reasons why. There's more reasons, but I had a funeral experience. I've been in my current ministry location for 8 years, and I've done like 13 to 16 different funerals. There's a time a few years ago where the only ministers in town, full-time ministers in town, well, even right now I guess that's the case, but the only full-time ministers in town are the priest and myself. Then all the other churches were having like pulpit supply people come in. And because of that, I was doing funerals for Lutherans, Presbyterians, and some others that didn't attend our church, and so I didn't necessarily know those people. Well, there was one person who I was doing the funeral for. I had the privilege of talking to him before they passed. And looking back at it now, remembering those conversations, I've realized that it was, that common symptom where they were talking to a pastor, so they talked more holy, if you know what I mean. So they stopped cursing. They didn't bring up their necessarily sinful stories, but they brought up their good points about themselves and things like that in that conversation. And they talked about, they brought up the Bible. Hey, here's the Bible, and reading that, praying, stuff like that. And so for me in that experience, before I got to the funeral service, I was like, okay, well, this person serves the Lord. And when that happens, when someone serves the Lord, it makes the funeral so much easier, because you can talk about the hope. You can go to that 1 Thessalonians passage where the dead are raised in Christ and the living will follow, and point that they are now living a true life with Christ in heaven. And so I preached that message for this person because I didn't know them personally previous to that conversation, and even that conversation, we didn't get to know each other deeply either, but I preached this message on hope for the future. And I'm being honest here. I preached that this person was in heaven. And the reason I'm going in this direction with the story is because what happened next is, so after the message was preached, we did the family and friends comments. There's usually a part of the funeral where friends or family can come up and share memories that they made with the person and everything like that. And the friends and family that came up to share about this person, the stories that were shared made it clear that this person wasn't serving the Lord. And I should I should make note that they weren't serving the Lord at the time of those stories. I can't, only God knows for sure. Maybe this person at the end there, I try to lead them in prayer and ask them if they were right with the Lord and everything like that. And maybe they did get right with the Lord at the end, but the Bible talks about judging the fruits, and the fruits weren't good on this person. And I guess, so after that funeral, all the friends were there that were sharing those messages, and the friends were there, and they were still living that lifestyle, and I just felt like I missed an opportunity there. I missed an opportunity to share truly the gospel. I talked about having a right relationship with God and how that can give us hope and everything in it, but I didn't hammer it down because I thought this person was good, and that the family, because of that, would be, pretty good with it. So I'm not saying I didn't share the gospel. The gospel was shared, but I could have shared it even more, And so part of the reason I don't like doing funerals is because a lot of times you are doing the funeral for someone that is, or that you don't know, like you didn't know before they passed. And so you almost had to become an investigator when you ask what they were like to their friends and family. You have to get their thoughts and their opinions. And it never ceases to fail that everyone always remembers that person being holier than what they were. They could have been like mean, they could have been drunks, they could have been, hurting other people. But if they died, then it just, they are instantly 10% more holy or something like that. Because they don't want to, again, the person is dead and you don't want to dishonor them. I understand that. But it makes it tough for preachers when they're trying to figure out the message on what kind of message to have. The message of hope or that message of, bringing in the conviction a little bit more. So that's just one of the reasons why I don't necessarily like funerals. I should make it clear that I do not mind doing funerals of people that I have no doubt that they're with the Lord, that their fruits in their lives, the way that they served Lord and honored Him, that they're in heaven with Him after they pass. I don't mind doing those kind of funerals. Those are easy. You talk about Jesus, you talk about how Jesus was their hope, how they lived their life for Christ, and how they are now with Christ. Those are easy. It's the ones where, and this is on me, but the ones where I didn't have a relationship with them before they passed because, it's just some family who, maybe they went to a different church or they belong to a different church or something like that. So, I don't know, I just don't. Those are tougher for me to do. And then I have not done a message or a service for someone who has taken their own life. I've been a part of, but I didn't preach the message on a funeral where it was an infant death or a child death either. And those two, what you got to preach there, but it's finding the right words. It's finding the right words and what to say. So I don't know. I guess I don't know what the point of this video is. I just wanted to share my experience there. Funerals aren't a bad thing. We don't really get a biblical command on how we're supposed to honor those who have passed. I know in the Jewish culture, their funerals look a lot different than ours do in our culture in the United States. Even in the United States, people honor people who have passed in different ways too. But at funerals, maybe the reason I don't like them is because there's such a burden on them. I had a pastor friend once say that they enjoy doing funerals more than they enjoy doing weddings, because at weddings you're there to celebrate the couple, but hardly anyone ever remembers the message that is preached there. But at funerals, everyone is listening to you and what you have to say, whether they serve the Lord or not. And so there's a big burden there. And that's, I'm just being honest with you, that's scary. And, there's a reason Paul said that we shouldn't strive to be teachers. Or strive, I think it was teachers there. Because there's a big burden there. If you teach wrongly, it's better to have, is that the passage, or it's better to have a millstone hung around your neck and thrown into the sea? There's a burden there. And, so I bring this up because maybe for you, if you're watching this and you're not a pastor or a minister, you think about it, out of the whole population of the world, it's probably safe to say that less than 10%, maybe even less than 5%, 4%, 3% of people will ever run or organize or preach at a funeral. They might get up and stand and speak for a friend or family member at a funeral, but to run the funeral, to preach the message at a funeral, there's not too many people in the world who are going to experience that. But it is a burden. It is, you want to make sure that you are preaching what the Spirit wants you to preach at a funeral. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to share that, I guess. That's deep for you. I don't really, how do I put this? I guess I opened up there for you a little bit on just one of my ministry experiences there. So, but I don't know. I guess, what point can be taken out of that? I guess, every opportunity there is, just make sure that you're preaching God. You're preaching the good news. Whether it's at a funeral or you're hanging out with friends or whatever it is, preach the good news, because you don't always know what circumstances or what other people are going through, and you don't always know if that's the last time that you talk to them, or maybe the last time they have the opportunity to hear the good news. So yeah. Okay. With that said, thanks for watching. Hopefully the audio was okay. I'm still on my small camera here, but we will catch you in the next one. Be blessed. See ya.